Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Leeds have, of course, just won 3-0 at home against Plymouth. Just hit that big red button down below for me. There it is. Just hit that big red button down below for me. That would be really, really helpful. Thank you. And yeah, let's talk about the game today because Leeds have won 3-0, kept a clean sheet, gone up to second in the table, scored 3 good goals. In all, a very good day out at Elland Road. You'll notice, before we get into this, and this, not controversial, but by my channel's standards, it may be a little bit controversial. I've still got the corner count in this corner here. 25 corners since we last scored from one. I'm not counting that Dan James goal as a goal from a corner. I'm really not. To me, a goal from a corner, I know we'll talk about phases of play and how long it takes for it to kind of reset and then go forward again, and it was within the kind of like 15 seconds. But for me, when the ball comes in from a corner and someone heads it into the back of the net or volleys it into the back of the net, or it bounces someone heads it to somebody else who puts it in, that counts as scoring from a corner kick for me. May not be what the rules officially say, but that's what I'm going to keep counting up corners because I want to score a proper goal from a corner with a header. Having said that, let's talk about the actual goal that Dan James scored because it was brilliant. I wasn't expecting it at all. When Nonto just slipped the ball to him, wasn't expecting him to strike the ball the way he did and anything to come from it because I was so shocked by the fact it flew in the top corner. I was like, oh, it's gone in, because it kind of looked like it was getting away from him, like it was creeping away from him a little bit. But then he just kind of toe punted it a little bit. Give him a little bit of credit. He must have aimed to do it. It was a shot. It just floated in the top corner in the side netting, and I was like, oh, what a good goal. So yeah, that was 1-0. Dan James proven why again he is one of the best players in this league. Second goal came from Joel Peru. The ball dropped to him right in front of the goalkeeper. He was just quick. He was just quick enough to get a little toe on it and poke it past the goalkeeper. Very fortunate for him and very unfortunate for Plymouth because it cannoned off. I think it came off a player's head, then off the back of a player's legs and just dropped at Joel Peru's feet. And he was like, do you want? I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that. And then, of course, the last goal, it was a back heel attempt from Joel Peru again in the box. The ball dropped at his feet in the box and he was facing with his back to goal. So he attempts to then back heel it into the net. Takes a little deflection off the defender and then just drops straight to Brendan Aronson to slot in with his left foot. So good finish again by Brendan Aronson. This was all in the first half, and we kind of we had some shots in the second half, but I definitely do think we kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit, and we have been guilty of doing that a fair amount, haven't we, really? I don't think it's something that we should do as much as we do. Look, we didn't concede. They didn't lay a glove on us, and we will come on to that in a second about Plymouth's performance and about an overall kind of chat about the Championship football. But when we're just talking about Leeds, I just want us to see us go for it a little bit more. Just go and say, let's go and get another one or another two. I think there's a mixture of Daniel Farke doesn't want to make the players kind of push themselves too hard, make it too strenuous and then get injuries. I think there's also a fact of him kind of not wanting to embarrass teams, which I can understand the logic of that if you're doing trying to flick the ball over players' heads and doing keepy-ups and annoying things like that. I can understand that might be disrespectful, but just going and putting a team to the sword who are not going to do anything in return, I think is fair game. And so I think it's a little bit of a combination of that and not wanting to injure players. But in the end, it was simple for us to kind of cruise through to victory and win the game. And look, in other games, things have gone our way. Joe Bellingham has got himself sent off, apparently, according to my chat. So if that's true, then they would just winding me up. But I'm pretty sure I trust what they've said on that. And some of the other games as well, it's gone fairly good for us this weekend, and we've gone up to second in the table. So I think it's as much as we could have asked for, really, isn't it? And there does tend to be a little bit of a feeling of, feel a bit flat because we scored 3 in the first half without playing fantastically well, but we were 3-0 up. and you kind of then get excited then for the second half, thinking, go on, let's go and score 4, 5, and 6. And when you don't, you do get a little bit disappointed. But when you take a step back after the fact, you've won 3-0 at home, clean sheet, +3 to your goal difference. You've gone up to second in the table. You can't ask for much more. If it had been 1-0 in the first half and we'd have scored 2 and 3 in the second half, you wouldn't have had anything to say, would you really? So I think, when we look at it objectively, I think it's a great result. Of course it's a great result. It's 3-0. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Plymouth now and a bit about some of the teams, not all of the lower in the table teams, but some of the teams a bit lower down who I think at times you're watching them and you're saying, are you just making up the numbers in this league? Like, are you... No, it's not down to the players here. This is down to the management, I think, and what Rooney set them up to do. Now, I understand coming to Elland Road and trying to set up defensively. They came to Elland Road and they set up in a 5-4-1. So they've got a lot of players behind the ball, sitting back in a low block and kind of trying to soak up the pressure. And I'll leave that sentence there because they didn't try and go on a counter-attack. Usually, if you're going to do that, you've got to soak up the pressure. And then when you've got the chance to go on the counter-attack, you have to go for it. You have to try and go and score a goal. But I just don't think they were even bothered about trying to score a goal today. And that sounds crazy, but look, there's an element of, yes, Leeds are a lot better as a team. We've got a lot better squad. We're at home. It's going to be difficult for Plymouth. But I didn't see them try to go forward and get a goal. Other teams who are low down in the table, who are not particularly great, have managed to have shots against us. They didn't have a shot. Never mind a shot on target. They didn't have a shot against us. I described it in my live stream as basically an attack against defence drill. Now, when I played amateur football, sometimes you would set up with the attacking team and the defensive team, and it would all be in one half of the pitch. So you'd have a full defensive team, 2 banks of 4, say it's 4-4-2 just for simplicity, you'd have 2 banks of 4 and 2 up top and the goalkeeper, and they would sit, and as the ball was played from the right-hand side to the left, everybody would drift across, make sure that they were covering the positions that they needed to be covering, and then the attacking team would attempt to break them down. When you won the ball back as a defensive team, there would be sometimes... there would be 2 coaches on either side of the halfway line, and your job is to play a long ball into them, and or there's a little bit of a game where you go on a counter attack and there's little small 5-a-side goals, the ones that are like only a few feet tall, and your job would be to play out from this defensive situation and try and slot it into one of those little mini goals on the halfway line, just to say we've managed to get out of their attacking situation, we've got up to the halfway line and done a little bit of a counter-attack. That's what it felt like. This game felt like a training drill. It felt like when they won the ball back, they would knock it up the pitch and lose it instantly. It was like, okay, and then we'll go, okay, let's set back up again. But I can almost understand that if you're playing for a draw, but Leeds were 3-0 up and they were still doing that. They started to come out a little bit more in the second half, but still didn't really lay a glove on Leeds. The second thing as well is if you are going to play that style of football, it often comes with the long goal kicks and the long balls out from the back, which is fair enough if you've got a striker who can actually win the ball and win headers and bring the ball down, because you're aiming for someone. You're aiming to hit the striker who can bring the ball down or flick it on for a winger to then try and kickstart your attack by basically skipping the passing phase of play and hoping for a lucky bounce or a lucky drop down. But for me in this game, the goalkeeper Grimshaw would say, everybody get up the pitch. So you'd have all your Plymouth players get up onto the halfway line. Then the goalkeeper would smash the ball as hard as he could, and Pascal Strauch and Joe Rodon would win the ball nigh on every single time. So if their striker's not winning any of those, what is the point? What is the point in playing that style of football? They didn't have a single shot, which I honestly think... Look, listen, the defending itself wasn't horrendous. So I can't say it's the worst performance I've ever seen, but it was the worst attacking performance I've ever seen. The defending wasn't horrendous, but it was basically like, okay, defend. Right, we've defended. Now what? Nothing. So to me, Rooney's he must be gone before long. I mean, they must have shown more than that in other games. I've obviously not watched a load of Plymouth games, but they must have shown more than that in other games because they came back from 3-0 down, didn't they, against Preston last week. So they must have shown more than that. But if you are going to play that style of football, A, you have to try and play on the counter-attack. You have to try and go forward. And B, if you're going to play a long ball, you have to have somebody up top who's able to bring it down. And if you don't have that, you've got to try something else. You can't just keep doing the same thing and expecting it to work. So, look, Leeds played well, scored 3 goals, clean sheet. It was very, very easy for us. That's my summary of the game. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately. Of course, join me for the next game. We'll be live. There'll be a match reaction, all the coverage on Leeds Lately. So make sure you hit that big red button down below as well. Thanks for watching, though, and I'll see you in the next one.